Thank you very much, Quick Shot. Rydell doesn't want to think about that game anymore, but I do want to. I want to come back to something that Pyra said at the end. Where has this Giants been all split? I want to talk about the fact, was this a solid game plan or was this a solid team? I'm going to go with the first. I think that it was a stroke of genius what they came out with. Yesterday, they already tried it with the Rek'Sai, with the Global, and the TF, and trying to get that split push going. Now, Pepinero going for that split push very early on the bottom side so that they had Dragon Control and Hecarim TPing in and winning that fight every single time. It was a stroke of genius, but I think if they would have fallen behind early, they wouldn't have pulled it out. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree at that point. And when you look at it, it was a team composition that in the early game threw a little bit of everything at Copenhagen Wolves. Now, split push Diana is something that is kind of old school. Season 4, very start, end of Season 3, before all of the nerfs to Diana. So that's where the Nash's Tooth build comes from. Long time ago, as Deficio was saying, we don't see it a lot now. It worked out because it put a lot of pressure on a very smart composition out of the Giants. But I actually think a lot of what Copenhagen Wolves doing played into the Giants' hands a lot, especially around the Dragon. I mean, Copenhagen Wolves had Nunu. That's a champion that should be battling for Dragon Control, and they just couldn't get it.
And the Giants, we said we've been fumbling in the mid-game, Copenhagen Wolves as well, but the Giants just got so far ahead by doing the exact same thing over and over. Let's get a replay up on that screen of one of the Dragon fights. Honestly, we could have shown any one of the Dragon fights because they execute it perfectly.
Yeah, this is one of the slightly earlier Dragon fights. This was the massive stun here, actually, from the Sejuani ult, but Whirlib is already in this fight, and before these fights, Whirlib had been sitting in the base for about 15 seconds, so he's off the map. And Copenhagen Wolves in previous fights just didn't want to engage because of the Hecarim teleport plays. And you can see just how much havoc he's already caused. He split the backline and the front line up, and he's already way out of this fight. And Giants at this point just have so much damage from Pepinero. Whirlib is able to kind of get himself out of the fight and back to secure the Dragon. So just so many of these fights went in favor of Giants from the Dragon, and there was a glaring error on Copenhagen Wolves' side of things. They say that Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting it to come out in a different way. Insanity is also sitting on Doran's rings on your top and mid laner and unupgraded trinkets at 35 to 40 minutes in the game when you could be buying pink wards in a full inventory, going into the Dragon Pit, no pink wards, no Oracle Sweepers, and expecting a teleport Hecarim not to exploit that. A little bit of an oversight there, or a big oversight that could potentially cost Copenhagen Wolves quite a, well, not quite a secure spot, but, you know, that they now, their fate rests in other people's hands.
Yeah, fantastic point. I mean, we've talked about how they fumble in the mid-game, but they get ahead early, then they don't get that, plus the stress. It must have been something like that, making them make those decisions. At the end, though, it did show again for me that, well, Giants still doesn't 100% know what to do in some situations because the Copenhagen Wolves were able to get an in-hit, but then they reacted by sending Audrey up the top lane. Fantastic, but the question that I posed in the beginning, was it a solid game plan or was it a solid team? Was it a little bit of both?
I've got to echo Pyro. Where was this all split along? It shows what they can do if they have an executed game plan that works out well. Unfortunately, 17 games, we haven't really seen that from them. In the 18th, they finally bring it out. It would have really been nice to have seen it earlier.
Yeah, but as it may be, they did pull out this win here. That does mean that they are one game ahead of MYM as of right now, and they'll have a small heart looking at that game further on. And it also means that Elements is still not out of the playoffs. Coming up next, the #2 seed Fnatic will be taking on those Elements who still have a shot at the spring playoffs. We'll be right back with all the coverage in just a few minutes.
Minions are endangered species. Every year, millions of caster minions are slaughtered and killed. And for what? Only for monetarily benefits.
There is going to be the Glacial Prison, Absolute Zero going down. The Timbers is also popped. In comes Pepinero, but Soren is still alive and kicking. Oh my goodness, look at that damage as he manages to make his way out. Airwalks with the Absolute Zero. Can they still turn this fight? He's going to get down against the Giants. They hit the on button. Whirlib takes down Freeze, and the Wolves are scattering in all directions. Pepinero picks up Airwalks. Meanwhile, flashes burn as Airwalks and Eliminator down. Soren is going to follow, and I can't believe it because Giants Gaming have made this playoff race continue.